Declan meets Seamus O'Toole. Declan stood at the front door looking through the glass. He watched as Catherine, Patrick, and Madeline got on the school bus. It was their first day back to school, and he was sad to see them leave. He was so close to the glass that his breath fogged up the window. He wanted to make sure they could see him waving goodbye. Yes, they saw him. They waved back and blew kisses to him. He watched as the bus pulled away. His mommy stood in the kitchen and watched him. She knew this would be a rough day for him. Declan loved his sisters and brother, as they loved him. They had a wonderful summer vacation, and she would miss the children also. There had been baseball and soccer games, lots of swimming and picnics, visits from Gigi and Gaga, as well as Grandma Mary, and lots of travel between cousins, aunts, and uncles. Summer just went too fast. Declan's mommy asked him to help her clean up the breakfast dishes. She told him, "After we clean up here in the kitchen, I have some gardening to do, and you can take your box of cars and trucks outside and play at the edge of the garden." Declan liked to fill the dump truck with dirt and drive them around the yard. Soon the kitchen was tidy, thanks to Declan's help, of course. Declan found his box of cars and trucks, then headed to the backyard. Soon he was engrossed with the toys and drove them around in circles, making sounds of a truck that only little boys can make. His mommy was busy harvesting some of the vegetables that were ready. Suddenly, Declan heard a little voice coming from one of his trucks. Sitting upon a pile of dirt was a very, very tiny man. He had a little green and gold suit, and his shoes turned up at the toes. There was a tiny cap that sat on his head. Declan was startled and sat back on his heels. "Who are you?" Declan said. "Well, laddie," said the tiny man, "I'm your imaginary friend. I'm a leprechaun." Declan leaned down closer to the man. "What's a leprechaun and what's an imaginary friend?" The little man laughed and said, "A leprechaun is sort of like an elf, or a fairy, or a pixie. An imaginary friend is someone that has come to play with you, and you won't be lonesome." "Can everyone see you?" said Declan. "Only if you believe in magic," stated the leprechaun. Declan opened his palm, and the tiny man climbed into his hand. "What's your name?" asked Declan. "My name is Seamus O'Toole. I'm as Irish as can be." Declan noticed that the little man spoke a little different. It was an Irish accent. He heard Gigi talk like that sometimes. It sounded nice. "I'm Irish too," said Declan, and he stuck out his little pinky finger so Seamus couldn't shake it down. Declan guessed that the leprechaun just was about bigger than his thumb. Seamus could have fit nicely in the fairy tale Thumbelina. "Would you like to play trucks with me?" asked Declan. "I'm looking forward to it, young Mr. Declan," said Seamus, and they began to play all morning. Seamus would climb down the dirt hill and back up, and Declan would scoop him up with one of the trucks. Declan's mommy kept hearing laughter and thought what was so funny. "I'm having a good time playing with Seamus," Declan replied. "Who's Seamus?" Declan laughed and said, "He's my friend, and he came to keep me company." Well, now, Mommy thought, I believe Declan has found an imaginary friend. She knew that quite often children would have imaginary friends, and it made sense when her sisters and brothers went off to school, leaving him behind. She smiled at Declan and told him to have fun, and that's just what Declan and Seamus did the rest of the morning. When Mommy finished up her gardening and chores, she had Declan come in the house for lunch. She told him to wash up, and she would fix a yummy lunch for both of them. Mommy put together turkey and cheese sandwiches for them. She added pickles and pretzels, which were Declan's favorite. There would be cookies for dessert. She poured a big glass of milk for both of them and sat down. "Lunch is ready, Declan," called Mommy. "I'm coming," he answered. Little did she know that there was a very tiny man tucked in Declan's shirt pocket. Mommy and Declan sat and said their prayers and began eating. Declan told her about all the fun he'd had in the morning. Mommy had fun also, gathering up tomatoes, cucumbers, and other vegetables from the summer garden. After lunch, it was nap time for Declan. His mommy gathered up the clean clothes from the laundry to take upstairs. Declan helped her with the basket of clothes. He went right to his room. All that playing wore him out, and he was ready for a nap. He could hardly wait to tell his brother and sisters his new friend Seamus. Mommy tucked him in and gave him some kisses and pulled the door closed. She started putting away the clothes, but every few minutes she thought she heard a soft voice singing. It didn't sound like Declan. She emptied the clothes basket and decided to peek into Declan's bedroom. As Mommy opened the door, she could see Declan was sound asleep. She walked closer to the bed and was quite startled. There, nestled in the crook of Declan's arm, was a very, very tiny man. Oh my, she thought, am I dreaming this? Or is this the leprechaun that Declan talked about? The little man looked up at his mommy and tipped his hat to her. Then he smiled and raised his finger to his lips to show to be quiet and not wake up her precious boy. Mommy smiled back and brushed her hand over Declan's forehead. Then she turned and went back to the bedroom, out of the bedroom, waving to the little man before she closed the door. Well, Mommy thought, I suspect Declan and his friend Seamus are going to have wonderful adventures to share with each other. Then she went back downstairs. Declan and Seamus dreamed of trucks and cars and many other good things while the angels watched over them. My dearest Declan, you are a little fellow now, but as you grow older, I hope you can keep magic in your heart. I pray that God will always protect and keep you safe. I wish you peace and hope and love. When you are bigger, I will show you the Christmas music box I picked out for you. Little boy, you have given us so much joy. This story is for you and was put together with much love, magic, and prayers. I can only make more stories and your adventures with Seamus as you grow older. Always believe in yourself and know that there is no mountain you can't climb. I wish you all God's blessing. You are special to me, and I will love you forever. An Irish blessing, leprechauns, castles, good luck and laughter, lullabies, dreams, and love ever after, poems and songs with pipes and drums, 1,000 welcomes when anyone comes. That's the Irish for you. Author unknown.